I've got a card here. At the beginning of the cold open, create a 1/1 colorless co-host artifact creature token with Defender.
To co-host with Defender for being protected. I like this. I'm feeling safe.
This card is banned in both Pauper and Legacy and Commander.
Is it restricted in Vintage, or you can play one of it in Vintage?
It's also banned in Vintage.
This is the conspiracy then, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure I know the name of this guy is. I remember drafting this and being like, man, this is my conspiracy.
This conspiracy is Sentinel Dispatch conspiracy with, at the beginning of the first upkeep, create a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token with Defender. Which is relevant to both Defenders and Sentinels.
Welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Tim.
I'm Juliet.
And as you heard about in the cold open, we are talking about the December Design Challenge. Every month we give all of you a challenge to work on, and then we read those in the podcast. This is a fun way to both just see some new cards and also maybe dive deep into some mechanic or some idea that we have. In this case, it's going to be about Defender.
Yeah, so our December Design Challenge was Advent Sentinel, a pun on the card, Vent Sentinel, of course. Design a card that cares about Defender, but doesn't cause all defenders to attack. We had bonus points. Advent Children, the card has Offspring, that new mechanic from Bloomborough. And Advent Calendar, it rewards something each turn cycle or each turn, sort of, each upkeep, that sort of thing.
There
and then
go. The secret bonus.
the secret bonus that got added in after I left is M-Dub's Peter's birthday bonus. Use 12 and 4 on the card or make it white border. I think that may have weighted some of our submissions a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
See some bigger cards than we might in a vacuum.
12 is a big number in Magic.
It's also not a natural number in Magic. I think there's a lot of things that cards can end up being, but 12 is almost never one of those.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, our first card here is going to be from Crypt Rat, and it is called Dune Castle. It's red, green, white, 3 mana for a 6/8 legendary artifact vehicle. 3 mana, 6/8 vehicle. Creatures you control with Defender can crew vehicles based on their toughness rather than their power. When this vehicle attacks for the first time each turn, untap each creature you control with Defender and each desert you control. It has crew 6, and this vehicle can be your commander.
And that last line of text, I think, really helps set up why this card has a casting cost of red, green, white. It's like, oh yeah, that's actually a benefit rather than a thing weighing the card down.
Yeah, we kind of want 3 colors rather than just 2. Yeah, we're kicking blue out from the normal Defender stuff, but we're bringing red in, which is maybe fair for our Vent Sentinel, our Advent Sentinel.
I'm kind of compelled by this creatures with Defender crewing vehicles with toughness as an alternative to like creatures with Defender can attack and deal damage. Like it still uses that toughness as, the particular quotient that you need, but it isn't, it's working along a slightly different vector.
Yeah, then you get to untap all your defenders when the Dune Castle attacks. So as long as you have like 1 or 2 defenders, you can rev this up. It attacks, you get those defenders back to block with. But then I think the main sort of like, I don't know, kind of cool thing that you're going to then like go over the top with is you also untap each desert you control. So this deck has like an extra hook to it where I want to get, 12, 15 deserts I can get in these colors so that I can double up my mana.
And if you've got stuff like Axebane Guardian or especially Overgrown Battlement, creatures with Defender that tap to add mana and things, as long as you've also got enough creatures with Defender to crew this, you can have enough mana to cast something in your first main phase and then also be able to tap these things for mana in your second main phase.
Yeah, and I think if you're counting the number of defenders that you have more mana, now I can get more defenders. This really like solves one half of what every EDH deck wants to do, which is like make a lot of mana and draw a bunch of cards so that you can do a bunch of stuff. Well, you got one of those things locked down. Now you got to figure out how to get your cards, how to get card advantage. Putting this as a commander, picking some kind of novel colors for it, like all that combines to be a pretty alluring card.
I think this is a great way to hit the main part of the challenge.
Yeah.
Ideally, if you've got some defenders out, I think it hits the calendar part as well.
Love it.
Our next submission is from Cord. This card is Fogwind Peaceful Miasma. It's 4/12 for 2 green, white, blue mana, which you might think of as like finest hour mana, if that helps.
Yes. Yep. I often think of Finest Hour.
Mm-hmm. It's a legendary creature, Elemental Skunk. It's a mythic rare with Defender. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if each player controls a creature and all creatures have Defender, you win the game.
Oh.
Otherwise, exchange control of target creature with Defender you control and target creature you don't control. And then it also has Legends Offspring for green, white, blue. You may pay an additional green, white, blue as you cast the spell. If you do, when this creature enters, create a non-legendary 1/1 token copy of it, which I think is a very fun little twist.
Legends Offspring. Yeah, okay, so we got like just a big defender in the kind of Arcades colors, so we're going to have cool defenders. We've got Legends Offspring to get an extra one, and getting that extra one is also a little bit relevant to this extra ability here. At the beginning of your upkeep, if each player controls a creature, and all creatures have Defender, you win the game. And there's a second part, but just to kind of think through that part. So if it's like 1-on-1, and I can keep my opponent's board clear, and I can cast this for 8 and have both Fogwind and Fogwind's baby survive. That's the recipe. Oh, wait a second. No, that actually backfired. Oh, no. At the beginning of your upkeep, if each player controls a creature and all creatures have Defender, that would let my opponent win, right? If I handed off the Offspring. Okay.
Additionally, when you exchange control of a creature you control with Defender and target creature you don't control, it's not if each player controls a creature with Defender, you win the game. It's if each player controls a creature and all creatures have Defender. So just the swap that never gives a player a creature who doesn't have one already.
Oh, okay. My opponent has a Grizzly Bear. I cast Fogwind for 8, so I have Fogwind and baby Fogwind.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of my upkeep, I do the first check. Oh, that's not true. All right, I'm going to take the Grizzly Bear. You have baby Fogwind, or even real Fogwind. It doesn't matter. And then I have Ashnod's Altar. So I wait for your upkeep to pass. I sacrifice the Grizzly Bear that I stole from you, and then I win the game.
If that's the... I think...
What's the other route to doing this?
Uh-huh. I don't assume that in the current era of Magic, a given board state is likely to have a free and freely available sacrifice outlet. Those things do exist, but those aren't... There's a reason that isn't like in every single set. There's a lot of interesting things here, but I don't know that the package works as an entire component.
If we delete the you win the game thing, which maybe that's sort of the idea, is that it's just like a goofy extra thing that we're focused on. If we instead think, I've got this defender that every upkeep lets me send over one of my defenders over to the opponent and take the best creature that's on the battlefield. I guess I need chumpy defenders to hand off. I need my Wall of Roots. I need to hand off.
As neat as Legends Offspring as an idea is, this would almost always be better if it was just create a generic 1/1 with no abilities, rather than like the cool thing about Offspring is you've created a 1/1 that also is one of the that is a copy. Whereas in this case, like I would rather create just a generic 1/1 or a generic 1/1 defender without the extra text.
Yeah. I guess we haven't totally said that yet. I was like reading it before, but if I give away baby Fogwind, now my opponent has the baby Fogwind trigger on their upkeep and they can do a steal as well.
Mm-hmm. And if I have another cool creature, they can trade their baby Fogwind for whatever the coolest creature just on the, could be a commander game where I'm like, okay, hey, I'm going to give you this one and we both can start stealing. That's fun. But if not, the upside isn't necessarily there.
So let's say Legends Offspring was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
What should the names of those tokens be? Should they still be the Legends name, or should they have should it just, you take the Fogwind off and it's just called Peaceful Miasma?
That's a fun idea. Like, as written, it would be a non-legendary creature named Fogwind, Peaceful Miasma.
Yeah.
I'd imagine if I was going to be putting a set out there with Legends Offspring, I'd tie it into, you know how Eternalize and stuff, those tokens have particular characteristics because we're hey, these are the Lazotop stuff or whatever. These are going to come back as white zombies. These are going to come back as. I think I'd want to tie it into something like that. Create a non-legendary 1/1 named Oko's Plaything. You know what I mean? That. This is Una or Oko or something like that, or Valky or somebody making little mockery clones of. Everywhere you go, you see, wow, there's a tiny version of the most beautiful woman in the world. Wow, there's a tiny version of Jace that you know what I mean? Something something there.
A tiny version, that's cute. Isn't there there's Pikachu and then there's the knockoff Pikachu that's a sad little crumpled up Pikachu?
You might be thinking of Mimikyu, the one
that sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, a little ghost in a Pikachu costume holding up a little stick shaped like Pikachu's tail.
Mimikyu. Yeah. I didn't realize that it phonetically is Mimic You.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got a couple bonus points here. We got the main challenge working. It has Offspring, does something each turn cycle, is a 4/12. So we definitely checked off all the bonuses on the way.
Okay, one other idea in the Legends Offspring?
Yeah.
Slivers Offspring.
Slivers Offspring. So it's an Offspring, but the Offspring version is a sliver?
Yeah, it's just a little 1/1 sliver with it doesn't automatically turn the ability into a sliver ability, but it is just and we made a, there's 1/1 sliver versions of whatever creature you've got.
Yeah.
And so then it's just the little tokens are named sliver copy or something like that.
Okay. I think the name, something about the name should change if we've got these variations on Offspring. Thanks for that card, Cord. Next up from Brad, we've got, or one of the Brads. Next up from Red Bay, we've got a Herd of Sheep. This is 9 white, 12 mana for an 0/4. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature with Defender you control. It has Defender. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of this creature. Then if you control 124 or more creatures with Defender, you win the game. It has Offspring for a white. What? The numbers on this are so large just in general that I'm having a hard time putting myself into the game with this one.
I'm trying to do the math out here, right? So you create a token that's a copy of this.
Yeah.
Which also means the copies create more tokens.
Yes.
And so does your Offspring. So either when you create this, after 7 turns, you'll have 128 of them, or the Offspring shaves you off a whole turn.
Yeah, shears off a turn if you Offspring it. And it's 12 mana. It could get down to 8 mana reasonably, I would say.
I mean, this card feels safe and fair to me at 6 mana.
I mean, it does go out of control as a blocker after 3 turns.
That is a good point.
Yeah, and the gap between attacks are no longer possible and this actually ends the game is 4 or 5 turns. This is another one that's also built to check the bonus check boxes, right? Because we got Offspring, exactly. We've got 1, 2, and 4 for Mono White Border's birthday. We got a white border on this card as Sheep, which is I don't know, very iconically wrapped in something white.
Oh, and it is, yeah, it's a 12, a mana value 12. So we have the 12 and 4 both twice because it's an
Mm.
04 with mana value 12.
Oh, okay. That makes a little more sense now.
It's interesting that and this is why I'm just like 12 is not a natural number for Magic. The spells should almost never cost 12 mana. In this case, though, I guess for 13 or, take or leave some. But if you offspring this, it's fascinating because half of your sheep, as you keep multiplying your sheep tokens, half of them are 04. They all have Defender, but half of them are 04s. Half of them are 1/1s. It's like, is 100 1/1 tokens with Defender better or worse than 100 04 tokens with Defender?
I think in a lot of respects, a 1/1 is about as good as an 04.
Mm-hmm.
It is funny that the offspring is not a downgrade.
I would rather have 2 04s than 2 1/1s.
Okay.
But I would rather have 64 1/1s than 64 04s.
Okay.
Because then I can actually start like trading in combat if I need to.
Is this like a multiplayer thing that we're all teaming up like against the Horde deck or whatever? Where there's just like multiplying sheep that we have to threaten and keep under control.
That does feel like a Boss in a Slay the Spire type game. This is the end game. Your deck needs to be doing something broken because you cannot just like linearly keep attacking through this infinite field of sheep.
You can't play a 2/2, then a 3/3, then a 4/4, then a 5/5 and win this game because it's going to have 16 sheep by then.
Just have like a 2/2 flyer though, and you might be okay.
Okay. Yeah. Is it sheep or isn't there some mammal that like can't look up?
Pigs.
Pigs. Oh, okay.
Pigs can if they're laying down, but not if they are standing up.
Alrighty.
The apocryphal idea is that pigs, and maybe true, is that most of the experience of pigs seeing the sky is from them looking into like puddles rather than looking up. And so it's about like, like the reflection of things.
Just looking in the rearview mirror.
Our next submission is from Juliet. It's Shore Root Matriarch. It's a 3/2 for 2 and a white. Creature human noble with offspring for 2 generic mana, Defender, and at the beginning of each upkeep, for each creature with Defender you control, untap target creature, island, or forest.
Oh. Yeah, this is sort of like like a Seedborn Muse, which is 5 mana for all your permanents untap every untap step. That has been sort of a commander staple-y, like quite powerful card. You've got a little bit more of like a, hey, build around me a little bit version here. At the beginning of each upkeep for each creature with Defender you control. So you're going to have at least this one, maybe a second one if you've got Offspring, maybe a couple more because you have your deck. And if you do that, you get to untap a creature, an island, or a forest. So we got, I guess, kind of, we're Bant again.
Yeah, and I was thinking this makes sense in a real way. If this was untap target like land or untap target plains, then I'd be like, we're stretching a little bit. But because we're untapping islands or forests, it's like, well, those are things that islands and forests look like.
Oh, okay.
These are blue and green things that can be done. And so it's like, well, you're including the islands or forests in your deck.
Yeah, if you have a green creature that can give target blue creature flying. Well, green can't give flying normally, but can it give a blue creature flying? Well, blue's allowed to have flying. You played a blue creature. Yeah, funny.
And so this is a 3 mana 3/2 Defender, of course. It on its own could untap one thing, whether creature, island, or forest, each upkeep. If you offspring it, then you got 2. And so each one sees themselves and the other. So you jump from 1 to 4 and then kind of onward.
Yeah, Offspring is funny with those kinds of things that can see each other. Kind of quadrupling. The vibe of this card, except for maybe the Offspring, is like very invasion block to me somehow, like spelling out creature and then island and forest. Don't try to untap other lands. Yeah. Like a cycle of cards that care about the lands of the other ally colors.
this does incentivize you to play with other defenders, but it doesn't say only ever play me in a defender deck, because it on its own, just on its own, can be fine. It plus its offspring can be pretty good. But if you have like 12 defenders, it's like, ooh, we're not gaining. It's similar to deal damage equal to your devotion to target creature. It's like, well, even if that number is 32, that's not going to make a big difference compared to if that number is 8 or 4, even a lot of the time.
Yeah. How many islands and forests do you even have? How many creatures with tap abilities do you even? Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, target creature. So I want to have activated abilities. If they're like kind of good, if they're tap abilities without a big mana cost, that's especially good for me. But even if they cost a little bit of mana, well, maybe I'll also untap 2 forests along with it, so I could pay 2 mana and tap to do a cool thing.
And I might play this alongside a creature that can attack, and so this is giving me vigilance on attack creature.
I like it.
Of course, like we talked about before with our very first card with Dune Castle, you can, with like instant speed, big mana card. I'm just one reason why like 9 mana instants or 9 mana creatures with flash are your Pearl Lake Ancients of the world.
That is like a difference between Seedborn Muse and this card, because Seedborn Muse says untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. It's not, I don't think that's even a trigger. I think that's just like a static ability. It doesn't use the stack, you don't respond to it.
Oh, that's a good point.
Whereas the Matriarch, I don't know if you can word it like...
because you have to target.
Yeah.
Huh.
Can you do that without targeting? Is that allowed? Can you say like untap... Man, I'm having a hard time doing this live.
You would have to like note them at the end of the previous turn or whenever they become tapped, and then like untap that number of noted. Like you'd have to have the selection process happen before the untap step, so the untap could be untap some constant, some variable of permanence you control during this untap step. Like you'd have untap all soldiers you control during each other player's untap step. That would be fine. You just have to have a selective bias.
Can we use something like Winter Orb, where Winter Orb says like can't untap more than 1 land during their untap steps? Because that's like that's not blanket. That's still a choice in some way. Are we allowed to? I don't know. Well, it's a cool card. This is fun. It has a unusual vibe to it because it spells out island and forest specifically. I think that's nice. Next up, we've got from Mono White border, Scarbark, which is 2 white, red, green. So another Naya card. This is a 4/12, 5-mana 4/12, legendary creature, Elder Plant at Mythic. It has Hero's Offspring. You may pay an additional Hero's Offspring for 3. I think this is basically the same thing as that Legends Offspring that we saw before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So it's kind of the same thing, it's just called Hero's Offspring instead of Legend Offspring.
Mm-hmm.
As Defender, at the beginning of your end step, if you created a token with Defender this turn, Scarbark deals 3 damage to any target. And then it has tap, populate. The token created this way has Defender.
The beginning of your end step, if you created a token with Defender this turn, which Offspring would qualify, this bolts. This deals 3 damage to any target. And then the populate specifies that it adds Defender to the populated token, which is, I think, an interesting way to do a populate.
Populate makes a copy of a token. Making a copy that also has a trait is like maybe something that you'd actually do with if you brought populate back, you want to add a little spice to it.
The populate part is interesting enough that let's remove the offspring part, or let's keep the offspring part and then cut the populate, and then it's like, hey, how many tokens with Defender can you, like, how many weird effects that create tokens with Defender can you find?
This is another one where the offspring like really makes it pop off as well. Baby Scarbark also has this lightning bolt ability. So at the end of your turn, you'll do 2 lightning bolts, and then if you get back to your turn somehow, And both your original Scarbark and Baby Scarbark make additional Baby Scarbarks. Now you're firing off 4 lightning bolts.
Uh-huh. But on the other hand, it's 8 mana to start that exponential growth off, so...
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty confident that in most Commander games, if you cast an 8 mana thing that needs to survive 2 turn cycles, you're kind of living in Fantasyland. Or you're going to win that game anyhow because you have a bunch of protection up or whatever else. So it's not that firing off 4 lightning bolts is that busted. I guess maybe to me it's just sort of the read of some of these offspring cards with like really heavy abilities is pretty different from how I think they'd play out. Like you read it at first like, oh, I get a lightning bolt once in a while. That's cool. But it's really more like I get multiple lightning bolts multiple times, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. And I think another way to balance it, if we could keep the populate part and just let this bolt each turn, but this is another one where if we instead just created a generic defender token that didn't have the abilities, much like our previous Legends Offspring, like it might be better to just create a 1/1 with defender, an 0/4 with defender, or something like that.
Yeah, this is cool. Scarbark, so is there a flavor thing going on here? There's like a little person looking up at a tree, a big tree guy.
Mm-hmm. If I've got some 1/1 birds or 4/4 angel tokens with flying, then I can populate them and make a I think the idea is like a 1/1 bird tree with flying and defender. I mean, it doesn't give them the plant or tree folk type, but I think at least that's what I'm envisioning Scarbark is doing. Maybe it's actually you create another bird and then a tree is growing up holding it stiffly in place. So you create another angel and it's the tree is wound around it over the garden wall style.
You don't see a lot of fantasy flying trees. Like that's a kind of that would be an unusual flavor path.
Yeah. I'm gonna look up a poem 1 second that I used to know by heart. What miracle is this? This giant tree? It stands 10,000 feet high, but doesn't reach the ground. Still it stands. Its roots must hold the sky.
Wow.
It's the poem that appears on the kind of back page of House of Leaves.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right, Scarbark. That was a sweet one. What do we got next?
Our next submission is from Sage Bees. It's High Hop Herder. It's 1 and a white for a 2/1 uncommon creature Rabbit Scout with offspring for 2 generic mana. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target rabbit you control gets +1/+1 and can't be blocked by creatures with defender until end of turn.
So we care about defender, but we're not a defender creature here.
We're able to hop over the wall. This can target itself. So on its own, 1 and a white for it's a 2/1 on its own or a 3/2 attacking.
Yeah.
Or for 4 mana for 3 and a white, get a 2/1 and a 1/1, and then you can kind of double up your +1/+1s. So you could attack in with a 4/3 or a 3/3 and a 2/1. You know, you can kind of choose your placement of the +1/+1, and if jumping over the defenders matters.
You know, we've seen a lot of white creatures that are like, I'm a 4 mana 2/2. When I enter, make another 2/2. Getting 2 2/2s for 4 mana is a pretty normal thing. I think that they're a little better on attacks and can't be blocked by defenders. Like, kind of strikes me as a red card.
I think that is mostly just card in the current era of Magic design, if that makes sense.
Like whether it's, what do you mean?
Cards that are really particularly good on your turn or really incentivize you attacking have been in some eras of Magic the purview of red. And in some eras of Magic design, when Landfall was first introduced in Zendikar and Worldwake. Okay, every creature, not every, but almost every creature is better because it's when you play your land, you get the power toughness boost. So you end up with very aggressive formats. We have seen over the past few years, a number of quite aggressive formats and a shift towards, hey, first strike when attacking has been a white thing for quite a while now, because we're like, oh, we don't want first strike while blocking. As we've seen that, we've seen movement towards more like power and toughness bonuses while attacking.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say that this could also totally be a white card.
And who gets the can't be blocked by creatures with defender is, I think, there's a world where that's just the purview of red, or just red and blue, or that anybody can get it.
Yeah, if this were like a little mouse, I would say like mice can get under walls, like through little holes in the wall and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. If this wasn't a defender challenge, do you think this would be like Ingain's flying?
Oh,
you get like
so that it hops.
You get like a double bounce. Like one of your rabbits can get if only evasion stacked in that way. You get menace, and then you get a second time. It takes 3 creatures to block. You okay? This one can't be blocked by defender, but if you get 2 stacks of that, it equals.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Not being blockable by defenders, I guess, is good this week against all the other submissions. But we get like 1 defender a set or something like that. So in a general case, this is more for fun, I guess, more for flavor.
Mm-hmm. It can help cut through the herd of sheep.
Yep, the sheep can't stop it.
Yeah.
That front rabbit's kind of jacked. Does that seem?
Yeah. There's something Sabertooth Panther-ish about the gait and everything. I don't know. I'm not used to rabbits with that particular morphology, or
big
Lago morphology, I suppose.
There you go. All right, next up we have Oreo Orca, who has sent us decked halls. All right, let's go. 3 and a green for an O2, 4-mana O2. Snow creature plant wall at rare. It has defender, as you might expect, and it has offspring for 1 and a green. So I could pay 4 mana for 1 of these, 6 mana for 2 of these. Other creatures you control with defender have tap, add X mana of any one color, where X is this creature's toughness.
Wow. So you really probably want to offspring this, or you kind of curve into it, having played like an O3 defender on turn 1, an O4 on turn 2, some sort of interaction, like, you've got some sort of thing. Or maybe this is something that we get like a wall of roots. We get some little mana, and then this lets you jump the mana up. But then if you play this for 6 mana, it generates you 3 mana each turn.
Yeah, 6 mana to get 3 mana generation is a little soft. So yeah, we want this in the defender deck.
I think it's interesting. This is decked halls, and so we've got like a traditional Christmas-ish tree in the center of this big hall. Is it that the hole around it is the big creature, and then the tree is the token?
Oh,
there's greenery in the background and everything. This is their.
I think if you're calling your halls
offspring.
decked, you're also opening up yourself to having multiple trees. Like you might have like the showcase tree and other smaller trees.
Or at least like boughs and garlands and different things like that.
Yeah, I guess like using halls for a wall is kind of interesting. Like we've got kind of a building almost. How could you have a hall without walls? I don't know.
How can you have a hall without walls? So yeah, that's a riddle that could take a whole episode for us to.
All right.
When we have cards that do specifically care about toughness, it does put like some sort of constraining function, or in general, if I'm designing a set and I just need a big, hey, we need a low power, high toughness creature or whatever, I could make that a 1/6 or a 0/8 or a 0/12, or you know what I mean? And like it doesn't matter that much, because toughness beyond a certain point on a like non-attacking creature doesn't doesn't particularly matter. It could be a 0-20, it could be a 0-13 tree sort of thing. And then when we add effects that do care about toughness, then we have to go back and go, oh, was that very funny 0-16 we printed? Is that now? Should we have done something different with?
I was thinking, wasn't there like a 1 mana big defender creature? It was in Foundations. It was a reprint, Aegis Turtle, which is 1 mana for an 0/5, but crucially doesn't have defender. So it's actually weaker because it doesn't have defender.
So we've got Fortified Rampart, 1 and a white for a 0-6 defender, but I think it's going to be hard to beat Shield Sphere for a cost of 0 mana for an artifact creature wall 0-6 with defender.
I think that one's probably like a $5 card these days. I don't know that they've ever reprinted it.
Yeah, you were exactly right. It is $5.
Oh, is that because it's like reserve list, or could it be? Is it even?
It's never been reprinted. It's Alliances, and then it's in Masters Edition. So,
wow, they've never reprinted that. That's kind of funny.
I think also probably fun in this space would be Wall of Shards from Cold Snap. I'm pretty sure 1 and a white for another snow creature wall. It's a 1/8 for 1 and a white with defender and flying, and cumulative upkeep to give your opponent 1 life. But like, hey, I'm going to be tapping for 8 mana. If I give you a few life, I think that's okay.
Yeah. What are we going to do with all that mana? Secret Door, 1 mana for a defender 0/4, and you can pay 5 mana venture into the dungeon. So if I'm generating way too much mana, I just slam that button a bunch of times. Turbo through a dungeon a couple times. We need our defenders that are also mana outlets.
And then by the time you're doing anything better than like the 6 or 8, you're in like tree territory, like Tree of Redemption and Tree of Perdition. And it's like, we can be doing other things with our 13 toughness trees potentially. But if I'm playing like Defender Plants deck, maybe I want my Tree of Redemption and my deck talls so that I can like tap it for 13. Or 20, or higher for in commander, and I'm exchanging my life total, and then getting very silly with it.
I love it.
Our next submission is from Xena. It's Wall Breach Lattice. It's 3 red and a white for an artifact, not a creature. Looks like it's uncommon. It has, as long as an opponent controls a defender, the first creature spell you cast each turn with flying has Offspring. The Offspring cost is equal to its mana cost. And then it has an activated ability for 2 colorless and tap this artifact. Each opponent creates a 0/4 wall artifact creature token with Defender. Flavor text. Rudessian soldiers call it taking flight. Their enemies call it big ladders.
I guess this answers the question of like, why am I playing a defender hate card if there's not going to be that many defenders out there? It's like, I'm going to give them away. My mouse can, or my rabbit can evade walls. Well, it's because I have to give my opponent a wall as part of casting the spell.
This feels pretty dirtily to me.
Yeah. Offspring cost equal to its mana cost makes it kind of hard to get to be explosive with this.
I can play my Squadron Hawk and pay an extra 1 and a white to get another 1/1.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cost is off with this. Like, you could probably say 5 mana, all your stuff has Offspring, and we can be done. And so, yeah, to add some hoops where I got to pay 7 mana to then unlock the ability to Offspring arbitrary creatures.
Which I'm then paying like the double rate for a 1/1. So you don't want to have too good of a creature.
Is there something about this flavor though? Like, was it the hunted cycle? The creatures that like were extra statted, but also gave an opponent something. Is there some reason flavor wise why I'm giving my opponent a wall?
some sort of like a crow and horse, like some.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good context. It's each opponent. So like you're playing this in Commander, you're like, okay, everybody, you all get walls. Attack me. I'm the one who doesn't have. I'm helping you all be defended from each other. I think if we wanted to give opponents the defender token, we could just make that an enters the battlefield thing rather than extra cost.
Yeah. That gets a little closer. You play this thing, each opponent gets a defender. Because you're just sort of saying we have a funny world that we're going to live in for a little while where I am now seeing every opponent as someone who's got a bunch of walls. And now that I've done that, everyone gets a wall. If I lose this lattice, that's sad. But if I don't lose the lattice, now I actually start to get a pretty good advantage.
Oh wait.
Oh,
I think I have it. Yes. Talk about old cards.
Yeah.
Each opponent creates a 0/4 wall artifact creature token with defender, and creatures you control without flying can't attack.
Oh, you surround your opponent in moats.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
If I have an Ashnod's Altar, great. I'm going to sacrifice my wall and I'm going to keep attacking you.
Oh, okay.
If not, I've got to figure out a way to deal with the creature that is on my side of the battlefield or deal with your flyers and be like, you still have to attack through my walls in order to hit me.
The rare offensive trench. I'm going to like show up to your house and dig a moat around your house. Ha ha.
I think we might call this also, it's less a Trojan horse and more a like Cask of Amontillado.
Oh, okay. We're burying. All right. Thanks, Zena, for that one. Next up from James Dalton Bell, we've got Climber's Pick. This is a blue mana for an artifact equipment at common, it looks like. And equipped creature gets +1/+0 and cannot be blocked by creatures with defender. As equipped 1. Keeping it simple, up and over. I like that niche for an equipment, Climber's Pick. That sounds fun. I guess if I'm an ice climber, that's why it's a blue card. Yeah, who can't be blocked by defender? I was thinking red, but blue? Yeah, I guess, blue can get kind of like niche evasion if you need it to. Does this imply my set has like at least 5 defenders in it? Like, am I expecting defenders if I'm seeing this in a draft format?
Or it's possible to imagine a world where there's a offspring-like mechanic, but instead of creating a 1/1, it creates a normal token, but with defender. And so the Climber's Pick helps you get through these extra walls, or like in a Dominaria sort of situation where like, hey, the defender's deck is pretty good, and we want, you don't always want to have this, but this is sideboard card that lets you get through the defender deck somehow. It's interesting that you mentioned Ice Climbers. Have you played much Ice Climbers before?
I like the Nintendo game. Yeah,
or the characters in the Super Smash Brothers franchise.
The Smash Brothers characters, they're adorable. Yeah,
I used to play a lot of Ice Climbers, and it is funny to have like an Ice Climbers themed card that doesn't have offspring. Given that they are literally the the one where you also have a second copy coming along with you.
We need a spouse spring for that or whatever, right? If this is meant to solve a problem like Dominaria, hey, we've got a bunch of defenders on there. We just want like a sideboard card or whatever that's going to make that good. I think it needs to be a little more impactful than this. Like if this was at least Leonin Scimitar, if this was at least +1/+1, and it's like a blue, but only in blue,
right?
Then I might find creatures that I want to equip this to. Whereas just +1/+0, I need some pretty strong synergies to want to put that in the deck. Even knowing I could climb over a wall or two.
I think that makes sense. Otherwise, this does achieve our, base thing. Design a card that cares about defender.
Yeah.
And our final submission for this December design challenge from Ortui, it's...
we still don't know how to pronounce it.
Scion of the Sentinels. It's a 1/5 for 1 red and a white. It's a creature human knight uncommon with offspring for 2 generic mana, defender, and at the beginning of your end step, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. If you control 12 or more creatures with Defender, this creature deals 4 damage to each opponent instead.
We may have caused our own problem with these bonus points because we've yet again set. So if this could say 6, then this card starts to make sense. Because we made them say 12, we've shackled our submitters.
This is a scion of the Vent Sentinel sort of idea. Vent Sentinel, of course, for 1 red and tap. Vent Sentinel deals damage to target player or planeswalker equal to the number of creatures you control with Defender. This one pings, or if you have the offspring, because we are looking at the scions, so we're looking at offspring, can deal 2 damage to each opponent. Instead of dealing equal to the number, it's 12 or more. We deal 4, or more than likely, if you're at that point, you're dealing 8 to each opponent each turn. Which, that's not nothing, but if I've got 12 or more creatures out...
Yeah. This is cool, though. This is a cool reference. I didn't really expect the Vent Sentinel. Okay, well, so the people who are born in the shadow of the Vent Sentinels grew up to continue defending Zendikar from Eldrazi or whatever else.
If we just don't even look at the 12 or more creatures with the Defender deal 4 damage, if we're just looking at the 1/5 with Defender that pings at the end of each turn without needing to tap or anything.
Absolutely.
And you can pay extra for another copy of it.
Yeah.
If this card was printed 10 years ago, this would be a really beloved niche card. I think things are kind of power crept out to a certain point. But I think there's something fun about, hey, I'm a 1/5. I'm going to be the equivalent of unblockable and vigilance. Each turn isn't nothing.
Yeah, I think it's a totally solid card. Maybe kind of like the, what was it, Fogwind, the skunk? This one's kind of in the same thing. It has you win the game clause if you do something preposterous, but also just a totally solid normal case, either that 1/5 or a 1/1 and a 1/5 and, extra damage. That's why I like it. Something about the 3 mana 1/5 feels like a nice size.
Yeah.
While getting an extra damage every turn. I like that.
And you can think about the one, the ping each turn as being red, while the 1/5 Defender being the white part. And so then you kind of get the 1 and a white plus the red together.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Would Vent Sentinel be better if it had text on it? Tap to deal damage equal to number of defenders. Or if you have 12 defenders, deal 100 damage to your opponent.
But then it's okay, well, if you have 12 defenders, you're dealing 12 damage.
Yeah.
In this card's case, if we're envisioning a world where if you control 12 or more creatures with the Defender, this creature deals 4 damage to each opponent instead, is particularly significant, is a world where, we have a bunch of these Defender mirrors, and we're in that sort of Abzan, but this time it's Naya or Mardu or some sort of thing where, I am going to have 8 creatures against your 8 creatures. And then sometimes we are going to be populating out these tokens. And then it's, I'm gaining life each turn equal to this. You're gaining. And then we have these I have 80 life, you have 75 life. We each have a bunch of creatures out. And then here is the thing that actually kind of closes out. It's I have 2 Sign of Sentinels and 2 Sentinel tokens. I'm going to be dealing you 16 damage each turn. That's going to be greater than the 6 life that you're gaining each turn. I have inevitability. I'm going to win. This isn't the ideal Magic, but Magic has been here within living memory.
Yeah. You started painting that picture, then I started to get concerned because, if my opponent is in that life gain Defender deck, 16 damage a turn might not actually be enough.
Well, that's why you need to have all 4. That's why we have Offspring. So we have all 4 of your Scion Sentinels out, and then all 4 of the copies as well. And so it's it's actually a really spiky decision to make do I play my Sign of the Sentinels on turn 3 to get my like defender synergies going? Or do I know that this game is going to the late game and I will need all of my offspring tokens? And so I need to I need to save my Sign of the Sentinels until I can cast it for the 5 mana version because I need all of those extra damage in the late game.
Yeah.
You never
a
know.
staunch defense. A staunch defense. That's great. So we got 10 cards here. Let's think a little bit about what maybe one of our favorites was. I think I'm going to Dune Castle, the first card that we saw. It was like just inspiring enough, like there's just enough hooks where this is like a commander that I believe in.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these other cards are doing interesting things, but they're things that we'd like to tweak on them.
Yeah.
And Dune Castle is just like,
all right.
Yeah, you print this card as is, there's going to be an audience that finds some really fun things to do with it. And even if you don't have infinite vehicles synergies or whatever, this gives you the synergies up front. So you could just be playing a desert deck or a defender deck or what have you and make that work.
But we're just united. I love it.
Honorary mention for Scarbarks. Populate the token created this way as a defender.
That's our technology of the week.
That's our tech of the week.
All right. End of one challenge means we've got a brand new one.
Yeah, so we've got our January design challenge coming up. First of its kind, design a card introducing a new creature type into Magic. Now we've got some bonus points here. Mark 1, make it an artifact, and mock 1 that has haste somewhere in its rules text. Tim, what's your favorite creature type that doesn't exist?
That doesn't exist. But the first place I went for me was kind of Universes Beyond-y stuff. That feels like the one way to start. You could take like a race from Warcraft or Final Fantasy Online or something like that and try to port that over.
Mm-hmm. Here's my His Dark Materials card, and it's a demon cat, but it's like D-A-E-M-O-N instead of D-E-M-O-N. Like it's...
I was just playing with yesterday with the card Voracious Varmint, which is like a naturalized creature, one of those. And it's creature type Varmint, which I was shocked to see that they went for a new type for Varmint. So maybe part of what you're doing here is just like, this creature type, it shouldn't be a dog. It shouldn't be a beast. It shouldn't be whatever else. It's going to be a varmint. Like you're breaking out of the mold. You're saying, do not try to play this in your typal deck.
Yeah.
Or maybe it introduces a typal umbrella of its own.
Mm-hmm. You can go general and be like, hey, I think this should be the term for this type of thing. Or like really specific. I don't think all of these things should be, elephants. These should be, they should be a separate thing.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing people's designs for this, in part because you can add some of your flair. I think the Universes Beyond is definitely an option if there isn't like, here's a generic fantasy creature that Magic hasn't done, doesn't come to mind.
I guess like also just artifact creatures, because one of the bonus points here is make it an artifact. Like what artifact creatures, what types should we add? What nuance are we missing in terms of the types of artifact creatures that are?
And the bonus point there, you could be making an artifact creature type, or it could be an artifact that makes a new creature type that isn't itself.
Yeah, it could be an artifact that pumps out goobers or whatever.
In a vacuum, a lot of artifact creatures are just construct or golem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of the robots now, but could there be alternative ideas there? Who could say?
Yeah. That's due at the end of January 29th. So get those in. And that'll probably be as well the end of our podcast for the week. Hope you enjoyed listening to all these cool cards, these crazy defenders. We gave people some stiff bonus points and they got their ladders out and scaled the wall. I'm always thankful to get those in. Hop on the Discord. That's where all the action is. Do you have anything to tell people about, Juliet?
Sure. So we just recently finished off our winter 2024 season of I'll Be Pod for Castmas.
Yep.
It was quite a doozy. We were talking about Disney's Frozen, talking about The Left Hand of Darkness, talking about the kind of infamous Folgers Christmas commercial. We really dive deep into some, I think, very interesting, if tricky, topics. And so if you're interested in experiences in the cold, ideas around like shadows and honor and gender and true love and taboo and teleology and the economic consequences of having like political policy decided by princesses, you can check that out on I'll Be Pod for Castmas, wherever podcasts are found. And you can find links to that and a lot of my social media presence these days at Folly Persist on Blue Sky.
Love it. If you need to find either of us, Discord is probably the main place to do that. But also, hey, I opened my own Blue Sky account finally.
Yay!
I was talking about the challenge that my brother sent me. It's just a series of sealed pools. So I'll try to document all that and my thoughts on that. Find that on there.
As we always say, social media presences
are predicated on their exclusions.
I was going to say, a social media presence long divided must unite.
Oh, okay.
Long united must divide. Which is like both is true. Can you imagine if we started ending this podcast with
just swipe in the range touch bit?
Just go to the link in the show notes. And always remember, the social is predicated on its exclusions.
Thanks for listening, everyone.